All right, Bailey, I see what you're trying to do here. Let's pull it up here and play with it. I'll kind of give you some ideas. Okay, I've typed in your loop. This is I didn't, just your loop, and I put it in a main function. But 4 count in range, and this is what you sent so far. But you got to figure out. I mean, let's talk about the for loop itself first. All right, let's just talk about the for loop. Let's not worry about what's going on down here. A for loop has to have a number that it's counting to get to, right? Like how many times do you want the loop to run? So let's say generically we want the loop to run 10 times. So if I put 10, and I'm going to take this out for now because it's going to print these numbers. I like this. Let's run the program. See, at first it starts at 0 because that's where Python starts counting, and it ran the loop and printed. So the first time it comes in there, it's at 0, and it printed out the 0, right? Because that's what we told to do. Whatever the count is, tell me what the count is. And then it went back and it ran the loop again, and it changed it to 1, and it added 1 every time. And then at 9, when it was 9, it printed this, it changed it to 10, and it came up and says, wait, that's the number I have to stop at. So then it exited the loop and ended the program. You are wanting to count down, it looks like. So there's other options that we can do. We can tell it where to start and where to end. Like I could say, I don't want you to start counting at 0. I want you to start counting at 1 comma 10. So start at this number, stop at this number. And then when I run it, now it counts from 1 to 9. Now again, it's going to stop when it hits this number. It does not do the loop when it hits this last number. But another thing I could do, because that's still not going to work for you because it's not counting the right direction. Another option you can do is tell it what to count by. Like if I say count by 2s, count from 1 to 10 by 2s, it's going to say 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and then stop. So to accomplish what you are trying to do, so just understanding how this works, starting number, stopping number, and count by. If we start at 10 and count down to 0 and count by negative 1s, 10, 0, negative 1, starts at 10 and it goes down every time, and then it stops when it gets to 0. It does not print the 0. So I think that's more what you're looking for, is to do a countdown, 10, 9, 8. So you have to give it a starting number and an ending number and tell it what to count by. Otherwise, it's going to count by 1s. If we didn't put this and we just said count from 10 to 0, we have an endless loop. I hit run and it doesn't know what to do because it'll never end, because it starts at 10 and it counts up. And when it counts up, it'll never get to 0. So I hit run and it just runs forever. So it doesn't know what to do. So we have to tell it, if we're going backwards, to count by a negative number so it knows to count down. Now let's talk about this. You also had print. Let me put that how you had it. Happy New Year. Everything that's indented will be part of this loop. Like I'll put down here, print not part of loop. If this was part of the loop, it'll print that every time it goes to the loop. This, the way you have it indented the same way, it does it every time. 10, Happy New Year. 9, Happy New Year. 8, Happy New Year, all the way down until it got to the very, very bottom, not part of the loop. It only did that once because it didn't do it until it was finished with the loop. Right? So to fix that part of it, what we want to do is, well, I'm going to take out this sentence because I just added that. If we take this and unindent it, make it the same indentation as the 4, now it'll only do that after it leaves the loop. Then 9, 8, 7, 8, 1, Happy New Year at the bottom. See how that works? Now, one more thing here. You said you were doing this as part of the math, but this is not calculating anything. If we wanted this to calculate something, that means we got to add or subtract or something like this. We could count how many numbers. What's the total of all these numbers? We could do that. Sum equals sum plus count. And then at the end, print the sum. I just call that the sum because that's what you get when you add numbers together. And it's and I can go up here at the beginning before my loop and say sum equals 0 to make sure it's empty. Starts at 0 and it'll add up 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So when we run that, I probably should do this. I should say sum of numbers equals, and then put plus string sum, just so it doesn't just throw a number down there. It tells me what that number is. But some numbers you get 55. So that just adds 10 plus 9 plus 8. So it added all those up and they total 55. So this is actually a calculation number that actually adds something. This isn't really adding anything. I mean, it's concatenating. It's putting these together so it prints 1 plus those, but it's not doing any math. So I just added something. I put that in my loop just so it would count up all the numbers that it's using for the loop. Or you can use count. You can use math somewhere else in your program if you want to add some other sentence or some other thing in there to do something else. This was just a suggestion of how I can just put it in here just to count up those numbers, just to have a math function in there. But hopefully this answers your question on the for loops, and you can play around with those numbers, see what happens. If it doesn't do anything, you've probably got an endless loop, right? That you're counting the wrong direction or something. But hopefully that helps you on for loops. So I'll get this sent to you here.